Beloved child, there are things I kindled within you long ago, yet you thought they had grown cold simply because you no longer saw the flame rising high as it did in the beginning. There was a time when a verse of scripture touched your heart like a bell ringing from heaven. There were moments in prayer when you saw images your reason could not explain. There were times you burst into tears when a song suddenly played at the very moment your soul was most tender and weak. You thought these were only passing moments, but I tell you that nothing that comes from me is meaningless. There are sacred seeds I placed within your heart in silent seasons. And though the soil may seem quiet, though time may have covered them with the dust of waiting, my life is still within them. As it is written, so shall my word be that goes forth from my mouth. It shall not return to me void. Isaiah 55:11. Therefore, do not call what I have spoken lost, and do not call what I have planted dead. It is only waiting for the right hour, the right wind, the right light, and the right touch of my hand to rise again in new power. I know there were years when you asked yourself why the promise seemed to stand still, why the first signs that once shone like dawn then withdrew into silence. But my child, silence is not my absence. Often, I hide my greatest work within seasons no one recognizes. Remember Samuel when he was still a child serving in the temple under Eli's guidance. That night, while everyone was sleeping, my voice calling his name did not resound in the public square, did not come with thunder, and did not shake all Israel. That call came in a quiet place, repeating gently until he learned to answer, "Speak, for your servant is listening." 1 Samuel 3:10. Do you see? Before I place a person into public commissioning, I often teach that person to recognize my voice in the secret place. In the same way, the scriptures that once made your heart blaze, the dreams, the images, the songs, the gentle promptings like breath, all of these were not scattered fragments of emotion, but the way I trained the ear of your heart to recognize my call. Therefore, do not despise the small signs that are returning within you. When an old word suddenly becomes alive again, when an old melody unexpectedly brings tears to your eyes, when an image in your mind makes your heart grow warm as though sacred fire has been breathed into it, that is not coincidence. I am gathering again the pieces of light you once received. Not so, you may live in the past, but so you may understand that the past carried seed for this present moment. Like glowing embers covered by ash, they may no longer appear red-hot before the eyes of others. But when the right wind blows, the fire will awaken. I declare to you that the hour of that awakening is drawing nearer than you think. Not because you have striven hard enough to force the promise to happen, but because my timing has touched what I once prepared. To everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1. And what I have appointed for you cannot remain buried forever beneath the soil of delay. Perhaps you have mistakenly thought that a new season means I will give you something entirely unfamiliar. But I want you to understand more deeply. Many times, a new season is when I bring back to life what I once spoke in an old season, but with greater weight, maturity, and authority. What you received when you were still young may have exceeded your capacity at that time. So I did not take it away. I simply held it in my hand until you were prepared. Just as Joseph saw dreams in his youth, yet had to pass through the pit, the house of slavery, the prison, and the years of being forgotten before those dreams took on their true form. The Lord was with Joseph, Genesis 39:2, not only when he was lifted up, but also when he had not yet seen the promise take shape. My child, my presence in the process is the evidence that the promise is still alive. Even when your circumstances do not yet resemble what you saw, Let me remove from you the fear that you have missed the appointed time. You have not missed what I am still preserving. You have not lost what I am still guarding in the treasury of grace. What appears to you as delay is often fullness within my plan, because I do not place something weighty into the hands of a soul that has not yet been made steady. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, though it tarries. Wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not delay. Habakkuk 2:3. Hear this with your whole soul. What I have spoken has not been canceled simply because it has not happened according to the schedule you desired. I do not move according to human impatience, but according to eternal wisdom. When I hold something back, it is not always because I am refusing it. Often, it is because I am making the one who will receive it deep enough, tender enough, awake enough, and faithful enough not to be led astray by the blessing itself. Now you will begin to recognize the sacred threads being woven together again. A verse of scripture you once underlined many years ago will suddenly carry new meaning. A prayer you thought had vanished into silence will return like an echo that has been answered. A song you once heard in a season of tears will sound again, but this time not merely to comfort you, but to confirm you. I am teaching you to reread your journey by my light, not by the weariness of memory, for there are things that seemed scattered while you were living through them. But when the appointed time arrives, you will see that I had arranged them like stones along the path leading you into fulfillment. As it is written, and we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, Romans 8:28. Not only some things, not only the things that are easy to understand, but even the things that once confused you will be set by me into their proper place within the greater picture. Beloved child, I do not want you to remember the promises only with regret. I want you to receive them with renewed faith. Do not say, I once burned brightly. Say instead, your fire is still within me, and now you are breathing a new wind. Do not say, I once heard your voice, but that was so long ago. Say instead, the one who called me before still knows my name today. I am the one who does not change. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Hebrews 13:8. If I once touched you through a word, I can still make that word blaze again. If I once planted a vision within you, I can still cause that vision to rise. If I once placed a song within you, I can still turn that song into the testimony of a soul that passed through the night without losing the dawn. Therefore, stay watchful in these days. Do not look for me only in what is great and dramatic, but recognize me in the very gentle movements of the Holy Spirit. A peace that suddenly floods you when you have no reason to feel peace. A phrase that rises from the page of Scripture like a lamp. A casual conversation that touches exactly what you have just prayed about. An old memory that no longer wounds you as it once did, but becomes a sign that I have healed you. All of these may be ways I am telling you that the season has turned. Just as a farmer knows the harvest is coming not only by the ripened fruit, but also by the scent of the soil, the direction of the wind, and the color of the sky, you too must learn to recognize the signs of grace. I do not want you anxiously chasing after signs and wonders. I want you settled in nearness to me, so that when I whisper, your heart is quiet enough to hear. I speak to you with the love of a father. What has been planted within you will not die in the dark. What I have marked will not be erased by time. What I have begun will not stop halfway. For he who has begun a good work in you will complete it until the day of Jesus Christ. Philippians 1:6. Let your soul open like softened soil after the rain. Let hope no longer be an old memory, but a present breath. Let the scriptures, the images in prayer, the sudden songs, and the holy promptings return not as shadows of a former day, but as an army of light gathering within you. For I am bringing back to life what seemed to be asleep. I am breathing upon embers that seem to have died out. I am leading you to the place where the promise is no longer merely remembered, but begins to move, to open the way, to bear fruit, and to testify that I am the faithful one from the beginning to the end. Beloved child, listen to what I am placing within your heart in this hour. Not every promise is given so that it may immediately take shape before your eyes. But every true word that comes from me carries within it life, timing, and the power to be fulfilled. There are words written down beforehand, like a covenant sealed in the unseen realm. There are words sown into your soul very early, yet not permitted to sprout at once, because the soil still needs to be softened. The roots still need to go deeper. Your heart still needs to be enlarged, and you still need to learn to stand firm in me before carrying the weight of what I have appointed. As it is written, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, though it tarries. Wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not delay. Habakkuk ki uch. Do you see? What feels delayed to you does not mean it has been forgotten in my hand. What has not yet appeared does not mean it is no longer alive. It is simply being kept in the place where I preserve it, until the seal of the appointed time is placed upon it. And when that seal is released, what once rested within the promise begins to move into execution. I want you to understand the difference between a word that has been recorded and a word that has been activated. There are words I speak to keep you in hope through a long season. There are words I speak to shape your identity before your circumstances change. There are words I speak like a lamp placed in your hand in the dark, not so that the night will disappear immediately, but so that you will not lose your way while waiting for the dawn. But there comes a time when that very word is no longer only a source of comfort, it becomes an operational command. Just as when God spoke to Abraham concerning his descendants, that word existed within the covenant before Isaac appeared in Sarah's arms. Years passed. Bodies grew old. Circumstances seemed to stand against the promise. Yet the Lord visited Sarah as he had said. And the Lord did for Sarah as he had spoken. Genesis 21:1. My child, what I have promised does not need favorable circumstances in order to become true. It needs my timing. And when that timing touches it, even what seemed too late must bow before my faithfulness. Therefore, do not look at the promise merely as a beautiful memory from old seasons of prayer. Do not cherish it only as a yellowed page tucked away in the drawer of your soul. I am doing something deeper. I am moving that word from the place where you merely remember it with your mind into the place where your soul recognizes it with confirmation. You will see that things I once spoke in the secret place will suddenly return with a very different weight. A scripture that lay silent for years will become alive like fire upon the altar. A prompting that once felt vague will now become clear and ordered. A prayer you thought had drifted far away will return like a bell announcing the hour. This does not come to make you nostalgic. It comes to testify that the spiritual gears have begun to move. The Lord will perfect that which concerns me. Psalm 138:8. And when I have set fulfillment in motion, no layer of time's dust can keep my word lying still forever. There are fulfillments, beloved child, that would overwhelm you rather than uphold you if they came too early. There are doors that, if opened before your heart was healed, would cause you to enter them with fear, insecurity, and instability. There are blessings that, if placed upon an unsteady foundation, would become a burden instead of a joy. That is why I do not only prepare the promise for you, I prepare you for the promise. I soften the hardened places within your heart. Uproot the roots of bitterness and teach you to distinguish between my voice and the voice of anxiety, between the prompting of the Holy Spirit and the impatience of the flesh. As it is written, that you, being rooted and grounded in love, Ephesians 3:17, The deeper the roots, the more the tree can withstand the season of great winds. The more deeply your soul is planted in me, the more you will be able to carry what is vast without being broken by the very enlargement itself. Remember Esther, the orphan daughter who was brought into the king's palace through a journey that at first seemed filled with bewildering changes. She did not know that her beauty, humility, obedience, and the quiet days of preparation within the palace were all leading her to a decisive hour for her entire people. When Mordecai said, "Who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this?" Esther 4:14. It was not merely encouragement, but the unveiling of a spiritual seal. The position she received was not only for honor, it was given for the execution of a deliverance I had already arranged. In the same way, you may have passed through many seasons without understanding why you were placed somewhere. Met someone, endured a trial, learned a lesson, or waited before a door. But when my seal is placed upon the right hour, everything that seems scattered will be joined together into mission, and you will understand that I never wasted a single step in your journey. In this season, I am awakening the unseen servants who have been assigned to the work concerning you. You do not need to see with physical eyes in order to know that heaven is not passive. When Daniel prayed, the answer was sent from the very first day. Yet there was resistance in the unseen realm before the answer was fully revealed. In the visible realm, Daniel 10:12-13. This teaches you that outward silence does not mean there is no inward movement. There are battles you do not see, arrangements you do not know about, and doors being opened before your feet ever reach them. I do not want you to become obsessed with angels or signs and wonders. I want you to rest in my sovereignty, knowing that when I speak a command into execution, the resources of heaven serve my will. Are they not all ministering spirits sent forth to minister for those who will inherit salvation? Hebrews 1:14. Therefore, be at peace. What belongs to you is not only being remembered, it is being arranged. From this point on, you will sense a different weight in my reminders. I may remind you through scripture, through dreams, through deep peace, through a word spoken by someone who does not even know they are touching the very place you prayed about. I may cause an old verse to shine as though it were new, not so that you will overanalyze it, but so that you will recognize my breath upon it. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. When the hour of execution comes, I do not leave you merely guessing with your mind. I place recognition within your soul, a gentle yet undeniable certainty, an inner light that is not noisy, but remains steady. You will not need to force yourself to believe through strain. Faith will rise within you like a soldier hearing the sound of the trumpet. Therefore, do not be afraid when what is old comes alive again with new strength. Do not hastily extinguish holy prompting simply because you were once disappointed. Do not say that you have waited too long and no longer dare to believe. I am your Father, and I do not awaken hope again in order to wound you. I awaken hope again so that you may prepare to enter what I am opening. When I place my seal upon a word, that word no longer remains only in the realm of waiting. It enters the current of fulfillment. What needs to meet will meet. What needs to depart will depart. What needs to open will open. What needs to be restored will be restored. And instead of chasing every movement with anxiety, stand in obedience. Keep your heart pure. Keep your ear close to me. And keep your eyes watchful. For he who calls you is faithful, who also will do it. 1 Thessalonians 5:24. I speak this as a word of comfort and also as a word of awakening. The season of execution is not the same as the season of waiting. In the season of waiting, you learn to believe when you have not yet seen. In the season of execution, you learn to step when I open the way. In the season of waiting, you allow your roots to go deep. In the season of execution, you allow fruit to come forth at the appointed time. In the season of waiting, you are healed from impatience. In the season of execution, you are taught how to carry blessing with humility. Let me lead you through this transition, gently yet firmly. Do not cling to the identity of one who only knows how to wait. For now, I am teaching you to carry the posture of one who is being sent. What I have written upon you by grace, I will execute by power. What I have hidden within you by wisdom, I will reveal by faithfulness. And when everything begins to move, you will know that you did not open this door by yourself, but that I, your Father, the one who keeps his word from generation to generation, have placed my seal upon it and declared, the time has come. Beloved child, I want you to pay attention to the very small movements taking place within you, because not everything holy comes with a loud sound, and not every confirmation from heaven must appear like lightning tearing across the sky. There are times when I come like a gentle wind passing through the soul, like a lamp quietly lit again in a room whose door has not been opened for a long time, like a very soft reminder that is still enough to make your whole heart pause. When you are doing the most ordinary things, when your hands are busy with the small tasks of daily life, when your mind seems merely to be moving along with the familiar rhythm of living, suddenly a verse of scripture rises within your heart with a weight you cannot ignore. That is not coincidence. I am allowing my word to touch you in the middle of ordinary life, so that you may know the seal I have placed upon you does not belong only to deep hours of prayer, but also enters every small corner of your life. As it is written, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119, 105. That lamp does not shine only in the sanctuary. It shines also in the small kitchen, on the road, in the middle of work, in silence, and in the moments when you thought nothing sacred was happening at all. My child, I know there were years when you grew weary from waiting, weary from having to hold on to hope without yet seeing the shape of what you believed. There were times when you thought you needed to try harder to remember what I had spoken, to pray with greater intensity, to seek more fiercely, to force your heart to burn as it once did. But I do not teach you to live under that strain. I am your Father, and I know how to call you back with tenderness. When I desire to awaken something within you, I do not always use pressure. Many times, I use a song, a note, a fragrance, a phrase, an image passing through your heart like a clear stream. It is in that gentleness that I am healing the exhaustion left behind by delay, not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit. Zechariah 4:6. What I am doing within you does not come from the rigidity of your will, but from the breath of the Holy Spirit, stirring again the things that belong to me. Remember Elijah when he stood on the mountain before me. There was a great wind that tore into the mountains, an earthquake, and fire. Yet I did not choose to reveal myself in those thunderous things. After all of it, I came to him in a still, small voice. 1 Kings 19, 11-12. Do you see? A weary soul does not always need a violent shaking. Many times, it needs a whisper close enough to know that I am still there. Elijah was exhausted, believed he was alone, and wanted to abandon the journey. But I did not crush him with rebuke. I fed him, gave him rest, and then called him with a gentle voice to bring him back into his mission. In the same way, when you sense small movements within your heart, an old image suddenly returning, a promise suddenly carrying new life, a holy longing suddenly growing warm, this is my way of saying that you have not been forgotten, and your journey is not over. There are things I once showed you in the secret place, But at that time you did not yet have the strength to understand them fully. There were images in prayer, like fragments of heaven falling into your heart. Beautiful yet difficult to explain. You carried them through many seasons. Sometimes holding them tightly. Sometimes feeling as though you had forgotten them. Sometimes not daring to mention them again because you feared you had misunderstood. But, beloved child, I do not revive what is holy in order to confuse you. I revive it in order to place it within its proper time. What once seemed like a brief scene passing through your soul may now return with clearer light, because you have walked through enough to recognize its meaning, like Joseph, who saw dreams in his youth, but only understood them fully when he stood before his brothers in the day of fulfillment. You too will one day look back and recognize that what I showed you was never meaningless. You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, Genesis 50:20. There are spiritual memories that can only be interpreted after the soul has matured enough to carry their interpretation. Therefore, do not take lightly the moments when you suddenly pause in the middle of ordinary life. When a verse of scripture rises in your mind at the exact moment you are not even searching for it. Stop and let it wash through your heart. When a melody that seems random softens your heart, recognize that I may be using that very sound as a key to open a room that has long been closed. When an old image returns and carries peace instead of pain, understand that I am touching memory, not so you will relive the wound, but so I can turn the place that once ached into a place of testimony. I will heal their backsliding. I will love them freely. Hosea 14:4. My healing is not only the removal of pain, many times it is making what once hurt no longer rule over you, and placing the fragments of memory back under the light of grace. I am teaching you to recognize my presence in the very real rhythm of your life. You do not need to wait until everything is absolutely quiet before you can hear me. You do not need to be in a special place before I can remind you. I can meet you while you are walking on the road, while you are washing dishes, while you are opening a door, while you are sitting in the middle of a crowd and your heart suddenly becomes wonderfully still. I am the one who walks with you, not only the one you seek in separate sacred hours. The Lord shall preserve your going out and your coming in from this time forth, and even forevermore. Psalm 121:8. That going out and coming in includes even the smallest tasks, the most ordinary transitions, the days when you think there is no special sign at all. Yet, within that very ordinariness, my seal is working quietly and surely. Beloved child, when I place my seal upon your life, I do not only seal a distant promise, I mark the way you see, the way you hear, the way you remember, and the way you perceive my life in every moment. The scriptures that return to you are not returning merely so you may memorize them, they are returning to rebuild faith. The songs that touch you are not returning merely to stir your emotions, they are returning to open the waters that were blocked. The old images that appear are not returning merely to make you remember the past, they are returning so you may recognize the thread of my faithfulness that I have drawn through every season. Remember, the ways of the Lord is not an invitation for you to become trapped in what is past, but a call for you to look back and see that I have never let go of your hand. When sacred memory is stirred by me, it does not pull you backward. It strengthens you to stand more firmly in the present. Do not fear my gentleness simply because you have grown accustomed to pressure. Do not doubt my clarity simply because it does not come with noise. Many times, the deepest thing I do within you begins with a very delicate touch, like dew upon the field before dawn. But do you know this, my child? That dew is a sign that the night has passed and the new day is drawing near. I am making your soul sensitive again. Not so you will become more easily wounded, but so you will recognize me more accurately. I am restoring your ability to hear, your ability to believe, and your ability to tremble before what is holy. The years of delay may have caused your heart to grow hardened in certain places, but I do not condemn you for that weariness. I draw near, little by little, to soften what has become dry, to rekindle what has grown cold, and to tell you that what belongs to me within you is still alive. Therefore, walk through these days with gentle watchfulness. Do not anxiously hunt for signs, but do not ignore the small reminders I place along your path either. Let your heart respond with simplicity. Father, I am listening. When I bring something back to your remembrance, receive it. When I cause you to pause it. When I make a verse of scripture shine within you, let it become bread for that day. When I bring an old image back, ask me with peace, not with fear, for I do not confuse you. I lead you into recognition. I do not force you to remember. I awaken sacred memory at the right time. And you will see that each of these small movements will join together into a greater current, until your soul understands that your Father is marking again what belongs to Him, calling what has slept to awaken, healing your weariness with the wind of life, and leading you into a season where every small reminder becomes a tender evidence that I am still with you. Beloved child, there are things you have hidden very deep within your heart, not because you no longer believe, but because you are afraid that if you touch them again, the old pain will awaken. There were petitions you once offered with tears, dreams you once wrote down in the secret place, hopes you once held with all the purity of your soul. And then time passed, and those things seemed to be placed into a silent drawer. You did not throw them away, but you also did not have enough courage to open them again. You were afraid to see how much you once hoped. You were afraid to face the old pages and ask yourself why what you believed has still not taken shape. But today, I will not let you open that drawer alone. I sit beside you like a gentle father, place my hand upon the things you once stored away. And I declare, not one page has been forgotten by me. Not one tear has fallen without my seeing it. And not one prayer has flown into meaningless emptiness. As it is written, you number my wanderings, put my tears into your bottle. Psalm 56:8. Do you see? What seems old in your own eyes is still preserved in my holy memory. I do not reopen those pages to rebuke you for having hoped, nor to make you ashamed for having believed with a very tender heart. I reopen them so you may see that your waiting did not make you smaller, it made you deeper. The words you once wrote through tears are not evidence of weakness, but the marks of a soul that still chose to turn toward me even when there was no clear answer. You did not know how much you were being refined through seasons of being misunderstood, through days when you had to remain silent while your heart wanted to cry out, through the times you accepted loss, yet still did not allow bitterness to rule over you. I know every morning you woke up and decided to believe for one more day. I know every time you wanted to let go, but in the end, placed your heart before me again. The Lord is near to those who have a broken heart, and saves such as have a contrite spirit. Psalm 34:18. I was near to you in the days when you thought you were only trying to survive, and those very days laid the foundation for what I am about to do. Understand this. Beloved child, quiet faithfulness also has a sound before heaven. People often see only the result when the door opens, when the promise is fulfilled, when someone is lifted up or placed in a spacious place. But I see the foundation stones no one else sees. I saw the time you said yes when no one applauded. I saw the time you refused to lower your life just to feel less alone. I saw the time you held on to my truth, even while fear was pulling you back toward the old place. I saw that you did not sell your calling cheaply in exchange for temporary relief. As it is written, he who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much. Luke 16:10. It is faithfulness in the small things, the unrecognized things, the things no one recorded, that has become a testimony before me that you can be entrusted with more. There is a story I want you to remember when David was anointed by Samuel among his brothers. He did not immediately ascend the throne. After the oil had flowed upon his head, he returned to the fields, returned to the sheep, returned to ordinary days where it seemed as though nothing had changed. But my child, from that moment, something invisible had changed. He still held his harp, still tended the flock, still lived among small tasks. But in the spiritual realm, the seal had been placed. In the years that followed, David had to face caves, pursuit, tears, waiting, and even the temptation to seize with his own hands what I had promised. But he did not take the throne by the flesh. He allowed me to bring him there in my timing. The Lord looks at the heart, 1 Samuel 16:7. That is what I have also done with you. I do not look only at what you can accomplish. I look at what you have become in the seasons no one saw. Therefore, do not think the season when you were set aside was a useless season. It was not so. Beloved child, there are precious instruments that are not used immediately after they are made. They need to be placed in the right environment. They need time for the wood to settle, for the strings to reach the right tension, for the tone to deepen and harmonize with the inner structure. If they are brought out too soon, the sound may be off. The body may crack. The note may ring, but not endure. In the same way, when I placed you in a quiet season, it was not because I removed you from my song, but because I was tuning the sound of your soul. I am making what is within you not merely sound, but sound rightly. I am making your voice not merely strong, but pure. I am making your presence not merely noticeable, but filled with holy weight. Be still, and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. That stillness is not emptiness. It is the tuning room of grace. There were times when you thought you had been forgotten on a high shelf, like something no longer useful. But the truth is that I was protecting you from hands that had not been permitted to touch you. I do not allow every stage that calls you to have the right to use you. I do not allow every open door to become a place where you must enter. I am distinguishing, purifying, and separating you from wrong rhythms, false calls, and pressures that could cause you to release a sound that does not belong to you. The one appointed to carry a promise cannot have talent alone. That one must have depth. The one entrusted with what is holy cannot only know how to burn, that one must also know how to keep the flame. For every house is built by someone, but he who built all things is God. Hebrews 3:4. I am building you from within, not merely decorating you from without. You thought you were standing still, but I declare that you were being calibrated. You thought you were falling behind, but I was making your foundation straighter. You thought you were slower than others, but I was bringing you into the rhythm that agrees with heaven. Do not compare your season of adjustment with someone else's season of manifestation. Some are called out earlier, and some are held back longer, not because they are less worthy, but because what they carry requires a different endurance. I do not prepare a small vessel the same way I prepare a vessel of oil for many. I do not prepare someone running a short distance the same way I prepare one who must carry a mission through many valleys. Those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. Isaiah 40:31. Waiting does not weaken you. When you place it in me, it gives you strength to rise at the right time. I also want you to understand that refinement does not only remove what is wrong, it causes what is true to shine. Just as gold passes through the fire, not to become gold, but so that impurities may be separated and its precious nature may be revealed. You too have passed through seasons. I allowed so that the dissonant notes within your heart could be corrected. There were fears that once caused you to speak differently. There were wounds that once caused you to mishear my voice. There were desires for recognition that once made you easily weary. But through every quiet season, I touched the strings within you, loosening what was too tight, tightening what was too loose, healing what had cracked, and softening what had dried out. He will sit as a refiner and a purifier of silver. Malachi 3:3. I did not leave the refining furnace. I sat there, watching over the flame, so that nothing would consume you except the things no longer permitted to rule over you. Now, as I open the old pages with you again, do not read them through the disappointment of former years. Read them with the eyes of one who has matured. You will see that the prayers you prayed long ago were not as naive as you once feared. They were pure, honest, and precious. You will see that the old dreams were not illusions. Many of them were seeds I placed within you before you had enough language to understand them. You will see that even the things not yet fulfilled have already been working within you, drawing you nearer to me, teaching you deeper discernment, making you more steadfast, and causing you to no longer be so easily shaken by praise or rejection. Hold the beginning of our confidence steadfast to the end. Hebrews 3:14. You have held on more than you realized, and I have recorded it more deeply than you know. Therefore, beloved child, do not despise the season of being set apart. Do not be ashamed of the diary pages of your soul. Do not call waiting a failure when I call it preparation. What I am doing is not pulling you back into the past, but showing you how the past has been preserved and refined by me to serve this day. When the seal is placed, it is not only the promise that is confirmed, you yourself are also confirmed as one who has been forged, healed, strengthened, and adjusted to carry what I am entrusting to you. Let me touch the strings of your instrument once more. Let me bring you from the quiet shelf into the new symphony at the proper time. And when my hand moves across your life, the sound that comes forth will no longer be the sound of haste, woundedness, or self-proving, but the sound of a soul that has learned to trust in the dark, has been kept in silence, has been refined in grace, and is now ready to resound with the clarity, endurance, and holy weight of the promise I have placed upon you. Beloved child, now I no longer speak to you only as a soul being healed in the secret place. I am calling you to step into a broader level of awareness, where your life is no longer measured only by what you need to overcome for yourself, but by what I desire to open through you for those who will walk after you. There was a time when I comforted you like a father holding a weary child. There was a time when I healed you like a physician, binding every hidden wound. There was a time when I placed you in silence to realign your heartbeat, your voice, your vision, and your endurance. But now, my child, I am lifting the call higher. This is not only the season in which you rise after pain, this is the season in which you rise as a sign to many others that they too can come out of darkness. As it is written, arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon you. Isaiah 60:1. The light I have placed upon you is not for you to keep hidden within your own heart, but for you to become a point of brightness in the valley, a place where weary souls can see the way forward. I want you to understand that the seal I have placed upon you is not only a confirmation of a personal promise, nor merely comfort for a lonely season that has passed. That seal is generational. It touches the stream behind you. It touches those who do not yet have enough courage to believe, enough strength to stand, or enough light to recognize that they too are called. There are people near you, or people I will bring near you, who do not need to hear a long sermon, but need to see a life that has passed through fire without being consumed by it. There are people who need to look at you and say within their hearts, if God can raise that person up, He can raise me too. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. You are not light because you made yourself radiant. You are light because I have kindled within you something the darkness cannot extinguish. You have spent many years like one who guarded a promise in silence, sometimes feeling as though you were the only one still believing what I had spoken. That loneliness once wounded you, but I did not waste it. I used those years to make you into someone capable of holding the torch without dropping it, standing in the wind without letting the flame go out, and walking ahead without needing the applause of the crowd to confirm you. The one who opens the way often must learn to walk when the path is not yet clear. The first one to carry the torch often must endure more of the night than those who come after. But, beloved child, that was not punishment, it was the preparation of a pioneer. Remember Moses, who spent 40 years in the wilderness before he stood before Pharaoh and led the people out of Egypt. The years he seemed hidden in the desert were the very place where I taught him to know dry ground, to understand the sound of the wind, to learn patience, and to hear me outside the noise of the palace. When the time came, I said, I have surely seen the oppression of my people, and I have come down to deliver them. Exodus 3:7-8. Do you see? I prepare one person in the lonely place in order to deliver many people from chains. Therefore, do not take lightly what you learned in the darkness. The nights when you prayed alone have become oil for the torch you now carry. The days when you wanted to give up but still chose to stand have become weight in your voice. The wounds I healed have become a map by which you can recognize the pain of others without judging them. The times when you were set aside taught you not to live for the stage, not to become addicted to recognition, and not to tremble when your name has not yet been called. Now, as I place you in the position of one who kindles fire, I do not place you there because you are perfect, but because I have made you real. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellence of the power may be of God and not of us. 2 Corinthians 4:7. The very fragility I have preserved will make the light within you testify even more clearly to my power. There is a valley in the spiritual realm where many are standing in the night, not because they do not want to keep going, but because they have not yet seen the way. Some have had their vision dimmed by disappointment. Some have had their hearts cooled by delay. Some have heard the promise but have never seen anyone around them live long enough to prove that the promise can become true. And I am placing you in the right position, not so you may stand above them, but so you may lift high what I have lit within you. When you raise the torch of obedience, those behind you will gain more courage. When you stand in the place appointed for you, the path will appear more clearly for other steps. When you no longer hide the light because you are afraid to be seen, a whole line of people behind you will begin to understand that darkness is not the final destination. Just as Gideon and the 300 men held torches inside jars, blew the trumpets, and broke the jars in the night, the light did not blaze for them alone. It shook the entire camp of the enemy. Judges 7. Sometimes I hide fire inside an earthen vessel until the appointed hour. And when the vessel breaks, the light becomes a weapon. This hour is no longer the hour in which you merely ask to survive. I am calling you to step into the language of warfare and victory. But you must understand that my warfare does not begin with arrogance or end in self-exaltation. My warfare is standing firm in truth, refusing to bow before fear, remaining steadfast in love when darkness wants to harden your heart, and continuing to shine when many have grown accustomed to the night. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers. Ephesians 6:12. Therefore, you do not rise up to oppose people. You rise up to break the chains that have held many souls in paralysis. You do not lift the torch to display your own light. You lift the torch so that those who are lost may know there is still a way back to me. Beloved child, the trumpet I am sounding in this season is not calling you back to the smallness of your former way of living. It summons you into the battle line of those who have been healed in order to become healers, raised up in order to lift others, comforted in order to become instruments of comfort. He comforts us in all our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort those who are in any trouble, with the comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by God. 2 Corinthians 1:4. What I have done in you does not end with you. The water that has flowed into you must continue to flow through you. The fire that has been kindled within you must warm other cold hands. The promise that sustained you through the night must become a testimony that opens the way for someone standing before their own night. From today onward, look at your life with a farther-reaching vision. There are decisions you make that do not only affect how you feel today, but also lay a foundation for those who will learn how to believe through the way you live. There are quiet acts of obedience in you that will become milestones for the generation after you. There are refusals to compromise that will break an old cycle within the flow of your family, your community, or the people I have entrusted to your influence. Do not say that you are too small to make a difference. One torch in the night can call many other torches to blaze. One person standing firm can cause a whole line of trembling people to find their posture again. One sincere yes can open a door through which many others will later pass. One could chase 1,000, and two put 10,000 to flight. Deuteronomy 32:30. When I place you in the right rank, your obedience is no longer as small as you imagined. Therefore, rise in humility but not timidity, in tenderness but not weakness, in light but not pride. I am not calling you to become a symbol of yourself. I am calling you to become a sign of my faithfulness. When you stand for those who are still fallen. When you pray for those who have not yet recovered their voice. When you pass through the door, remember that there are others who will be encouraged to follow. When you lift the torch, do not fear the wind, because the fire I have kindled is not under the control of darkness. This is a generational call, a gathering point for souls who carry the same current. The hour when those who once thought they were alone begin to recognize that they belong to a far greater spiritual army. And you, the child I have healed, awakened, refined, and calibrated in silence, will no longer carry the promise only as a secret in your heart. You will carry it like a torch before a company of people, like a trumpet in the valley, like a living witness that victory is not a distant dream, but the appointed portion of those who allow me to lead them into the right position, the right time, and the right battle line of my glory. Beloved child, I want you to lift your eyes beyond the narrow scope of what you see before you, because the vision I have placed within you was not born to stop at one day, one need, one pain, or one personal victory. You once asked me to help you stand, and I heard you. You once asked me to heal the places where your heart had cracked, and I drew near. You once asked me to open a way for you to pass through seasons that seemed impossible to overcome, and I held your hand step by step. But now, I am not only calling you to rise so that your own heart may be relieved, I am calling you to stand so that your life may become a great tree under whose shade those after you can find shelter. As it is written, the righteous shall flourish like a palm tree. He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon. Psalm 92:12. You are not merely a small branch growing just to survive the wind. You are a seed I planted in deep soil, covered through many seasons, watered with tears, warmed by faithfulness, so that one day you would rise with a stature that does not only give shade to yourself, but creates a living place for many other souls. There are things I sowed within you very early that you once thought were too great for your life. There were holy longings that confused you, because you looked at your own fragility and wondered how someone like you could carry something so vast. But my child, an ancient tree does not begin with a tall trunk and a wide canopy. It begins as a very small seed, buried in darkness, bearing the pressure of the soil, enduring hidden time, receiving rain and sunlight in turn, and passing through seasons when it seems as though nothing is happening. What you call being buried, I often call being planted. What you call delay, I often call roots going deeper. As it is written, "Blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord, for he shall be like a tree planted by the waters, which spreads out its roots by the river." Jeremiah 17, 7-8. When the roots have touched the source, the tree no longer lives by the weather above it. It lives by the hidden waters beneath it. And that is what I have done within you. I have taught you to live not in dependence on the changes around you, but by being nourished by my life in the deep places. Therefore, understand that the victory I give you does not end only with your escape from a difficult season. That victory becomes a turning point for an entire stream. When you overcome a fear, those who come after you will see that fear is no longer an unbreakable wall. When you allow me to heal a generational wound, there are souls after you who will not have to bow before the same chain. When you learn to live in truth instead of hiding in shame, a new road is opened for those who once thought they had to remain small forever. Go through the gates, prepare the way for the people, build up the highway, take out the stones, Isaiah 62:10. You do not merely pass along that road, I also use you to clear the way. There are stones you pick up today that will make the steps of those after you lighter. There are battles you win in the secret place that will become a land of peace for those who do not yet know how to fight. I know you have passed through seasons of being pressed into a corner, where you thought you only had enough strength to defend yourself. You had days when you were only trying to hold on to the breath of faith, only trying to keep your heart from collapsing, only trying not to let darkness call you by old names. But now, I am changing your posture. You no longer stand like one surrounded with no way out. You stand as one who has been given authority to advance. Behold, I give you the authority over all the power of the enemy. Luke 10:19. That authority is not for arrogance, nor is it for fighting through the flesh, anger, or rivalry. That authority is the ability to stand in truth when lies are roaring, the ability to move forward when fear wants to pull you back, the ability to reclaim peace, purity, voice, hope, and the spiritual territory the enemy once tried to steal from you. Remember Joshua when I spoke to him after the death of Moses? He was not called to remain forever grieving beside the shore of the past, nor was he called to keep the people standing at the edge of the promise. I said, "Arise, go over this Jordan. Every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon I have given you." Joshua 1:2-3. Do you see? The land had already been given in my word, yet they still had to enter it through obedience. The promise did not exempt them from battle. The promise assured them that the battle was not meaningless. In the same way, you are not called to stand forever at the boundary of what I have promised. I am placing strategy in your hands, sharpening the sword of the word again, teaching you to recognize timing, and moving you from the posture of survival into the posture of possession. Not possession through ambition, but through obedience. Not seizing what does not belong to you, but receiving again the portion I appointed for you from the beginning. This battle, beloved child, did not truly begin today. Its signs were already appearing in the years when you were still very young. Through wounds you could not understand why you had to endure. Through losses that tried to silence you. Through times of being left behind that made you think you had no place. Through seasons of loneliness in which you learned to lean on me when no one was close enough to hold you up. The enemy saw the seed before you understood your own stature. So he tried to make you doubt, grow weary, shrink back, and lose your voice. But I was there. I did not allow those things to define you. I used those very places to train you. As Joseph said to his brothers, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." Genesis 50:20. What was once used to break you down, in my hands, will become an instrument that gives you strength to lift others. Now I place in your hand the spear of discernment. Not so you may pierce people, but so you may pierce through the lies that have hidden behind the fears of many generations. I place in your hand the sword of my word. Not so you may wound, but so you may cut the cords, open the way for the captive, and declare truth over territories that darkness once tried to occupy. For the word of God is living and powerful, and sharper than any two-edged sword. Hebrews 4:12. I give you strategy, not the strategy of haste, but the wisdom that knows when to be silent, when to advance, when to pray, when to speak words of life, and when to wait for my signal. The one who overcomes in me is not the one who is always the loudest. It is the one who hears most clearly, obeys most quickly, and stands most firmly in what I have spoken. You will no longer only pray to be protected from every battle. You will learn to pray as one who carries authority, knowing that my presence within you is a fortress, a fire, a shield, and a command to advance. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. Ephesians 6:11. Standing firm does not mean remaining motionless in fear. Standing firm means refusing to surrender ground to darkness. Standing firm is keeping your heart pure when you are provoked. Standing firm is keeping your voice when shame wants to silence you. Standing firm is continuing to love without allowing evil to control you. Standing firm is knowing that your victory was anchored in me before the battle ever appeared before your eyes. See yourself as the ancient tree I am growing. Your roots are the years of prayer in the hidden place. Your trunk is the endurance built through trial. Your branches are the abilities I have enlarged. Your leaves are the comfort, wisdom, and light that others will find when they draw near. The shade you create does not come from your perfection, but from my life flowing through you. One day, weary ones will sit beneath that shade and recover their breath. Those younger in faith will look at you and learn how to wait without becoming bitter. Those whose hope was once stolen will see in you evidence that what was stolen can be recovered in my name, and they shall rebuild the old ruins. They shall raise up the former desolations. Isaiah 61:4. You are called not only to receive restoration, but to become an instrument of restoration. Therefore, I say to you, grow beyond the old limits of yourself. Do not ask for a small life if I am giving you a wide vision. Do not ask only for shade for yourself if I am making you into a great tree for many. Do not ask only to escape the battle if I am training you to lead in victory. You do not advance by your own strength. You advance by obedience. You do not carry the sword for self-exaltation. You carry it for liberation. You do not bear the spear to display power. You bear it as a sign that you will no longer allow the enemy to occupy the territory I have given. And as you move forward, remember this: behind you are people who need to see someone go before them who dares to believe, dares to stand, dares to recover what was stolen, dares to rebuild what was ruined, and dares to become an ancient tree in a land that was once dry and barren. I am with you in this battle. I go before you like fire, behind you like a shield, within you like breath, and over you like a seal. This moment is not a passing outburst. It is the point where many years of my hidden preparation have converged. The wounds, the losses, the lonely seasons, the secret lessons, the promises preserved through tears, all of them have led you here. Now lift your eyes. Take hold of what I am placing in your hands. and step into the spiritual territory that has long been waiting for you. For I have not called you merely to survive beneath the shade of someone else's tree. I have called you to become an ancient tree of grace, a banner of victory, a waymaker for a generation that will know that in me, they are not only healed, not only raised up, but also sent forth to recover, to build, to shelter, and to testify that my power is still working through those who dare to believe until the end. My beloved, listen to me, not with your ears, but from the deepest place within your soul, the place where truth is not obscured by fear or by the shadows of old memories. I am leading you to a threshold that not everyone perceives, a moment not measured by human clocks, but appointed by the fullness of my divine design. There have been seasons in your life when everything seemed like trial upon trial, as though a fire burned without ceasing. Yet now, that very fire is no longer meant to destroy, but to refine, to reveal the preciousness I placed within you from the beginning. As it is written, he will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver, Malachi 3:3. And you are no longer raw metal, you are being formed into a vessel set apart for glory. You may not have realized it, but every moment you thought you were falling was, in truth, a moment I was realigning what had been misdirected within your soul. What you have called delay has been my careful rearrangement, ensuring that you would not step outside of the appointed time. For my timing is never late, nor does it come before you are able to carry what it brings. This is the moment when the heavens are no longer silent. This is the hour when the word is released. As it is written, to everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven, Ecclesiastes 3:1. And your appointed hour has now begun to move. Understand this. My child, I did not draw you out of darkness, only for you to return to your former ways. I did not lead you through harsh seasons, so that you would continue to live within the small confines you once knew. What I am doing is not a surface repair, but a transformation of your very foundation. You once lived as one striving merely to endure each day, as though every resource were depleted. But I declare to you, that season has come to an end. As it is written, I have come that they may have life, and have it abundantly, John 10:10. You are no longer defined by lack, but by the abundance that flows from me. There is a story you must remember, the story of the widow in the time of the prophet Elisha. She possessed only a small jar of oil, so little that it seemed insufficient even for a single day. Yet when she obeyed my instruction and poured that oil into the empty vessels she had gathered, it continued to flow until there was no vessel left to receive it. The miracle did not begin with abundance, but with obedience within limitation. And when obedience aligns with my appointed time, limitation ceases to remain limitation. So it is with you, the very thing you hold, though it appears small in your eyes, is the seed for the multiplication I have already ordained. Therefore, do not continue to live with the mindset of one who fears loss. That fear no longer belongs to you. I have not called you to shrink back, but to expand. I have not placed you in this world to remain hidden, but to reflect my light. As it is written, you are the light of the world. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, Matthew 5:14-15. The light within you is not meant to be concealed, but to shine forth. The identity I formed within you is not meant to be suppressed, but to be revealed. You may still carry remnants of old patterns, limiting thoughts, defensive reactions, unresolved anxieties. But you must understand this. When I lift you into a new dimension, the old cannot go with you, not because I reject you, but because I am preserving what I have placed within you. As it is written, no one pours new wine into old wineskins, Luke 5:37. You are becoming a new vessel, prepared to contain what is new. And now, you are moving within my current, not by your own strength, but by my power at work within you. Your body, your mind, your soul, all are being drawn into a new rhythm, a rhythm no longer governed by pressure, but by my presence. As it is written, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, Zechariah 4-6. You do not need to strive to enter what I have already opened. You only need to yield. Therefore, my beloved, release what no longer aligns with where I am leading you. Lift your head not in pride, but in the awareness that you have been chosen to step into this appointed moment. This is not the result of your own effort, but of my grace. And as you walk in that truth, you will come to realize that what you once thought was a goal to attain was, in fact, a place I had already ordained to bring you into. Move forward, not with anxiety, but with conviction. For I do not merely go before you, I am within you, working all things to complete what I have begun. And as it is written, he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Jesus Christ, Philippians 1-6. You are no longer at the beginning. You are in the moment of fulfillment, the moment when what was unseen begins to emerge, and what was promised starts to take form in your very life. My beloved, there are images I do not choose at random, but place with intention to imprint deeply within your understanding. When I speak of an intersection or a closed circle, I am revealing to you a spiritual principle. There are moments when everything I have sown, everything you have endured, and everything I have ordained converge into a single, irreversible point. It is not a linear progression, but a divine convergence. As it is written, the end of a matter is better than its beginning. Ecclesiastes 7:8. Because when the appointed time arrives, what has long been prepared will erupt in a single moment. You are standing within that convergence, where the years you thought were delays were, in truth, a silent foundation. Look at the story of Joseph, a man cast into a pit, sold, and forgotten in a prison. Yet when my time came, no one could hinder his steps into the palace, not because he ran faster, but because my appointed hour had opened. As it is written, God sent me before you to preserve life. Genesis 45:5. Do you see? What you have called darkness was merely a corridor leading to the place I had prepared. And remember Ruth, a woman without status, without security, yet walking in faithfulness. The field she stepped into was not coincidence, but a precise arrangement down to every detail. When faithfulness meets my appointed time, it becomes a doorway. As it is written, she happened to come to the part of the field belonging to Boaz, Ruth 2-3. Yet, in my sight, nothing is accidental. You, too, are stepping into such fields, places that seem ordinary, yet carry your destiny within them. And my child, there are callings that do not come in blazing light, but arise in the depth of night. Like Samuel, still a child, he did not recognize my voice at first, but when he answered, "Speak, for your servant is listening," 1 Samuel 3:10, his entire life was opened. The calling is not merely a sound, it is an activation. And now, you are hearing that call as well, not with your ears, but as a resonance within your soul. Understand this deeply. When I bring you into a new phase, I do not merely touch a single part of you, I restructure your entire being. What you once considered natural limitations will no longer hold you back. As it is written, "Behold, I make all things new," Revelation 21:5. This is not a patchwork repair, it is a transformation. Your body, I am drawing it out of a prolonged state of depletion. Elijah once collapsed under the broom tree, believing he could go no further. Yet I sent an angel to him, gave him bread and water, and from that strength he walked 40 days and nights. As it is written, he arose, and ate and drank, and went in the strength of that food. 1 Kings 19:8. You also will receive provision that does not come from the natural, a renewed strength that will not run dry. Your mind, I am renewing the way you see. You will no longer perceive circumstances as you once did, for my light will illuminate your understanding. Consider David when he stood before Goliath. He did not see an undefeatable giant. He saw one who defied the living God. As it is written, the battle is the Lord's. 1 Samuel 17:47. When your mind is aligned, the reality before you is transformed. And your soul, this is the deepest place I am touching. I am drawing you out of a way of living that merely survives, into a life that reflects the kingdom, no longer living to have just enough, but to live in overflow, no longer preserving yourself, but expressing me through you. As it is written, the righteous shall live by faith. Romans 1:17. Faith is not merely belief, it is a way of life. My beloved, what you are experiencing is not a minor transition. This is a convergence of destiny. This is the point where promise no longer remains in the future, but begins to step into the present. No force can delay what I have appointed in its time. As it is written, the vision is yet for an appointed time, though it tarries. Wait for it, it will surely come. Habakkuk 2-3. Therefore, do not draw back. Do not question the place where I have positioned you. You are not here by accident. You do not stand here by chance. You are at the precise intersection where time, preparation, and my intention converge. And as you move forward, you will realize that what you thought was a single moment is, in truth, the unveiling of an entire new season that I have long reserved for you. My beloved, allow me to lead you deeper into what your soul senses but cannot yet name. There are moments in the journey that are no longer a continuation of yesterday, but a point of convergence where all that I have promised, all that I have formed within you, and all the purpose I placed in you from the beginning meet in an uncontainable light. That is why I speak of a closed circle, not to confine you, but to declare that a cycle has been completed, and something new is opening from the very center of that completion. As it is written, the Lord will fulfill his purpose for me. Psalm 138:8. And you are within that very process of completion. Nothing missing, nothing misplaced, nothing out of time. Look again at the journey of Joseph, not to compare, but to discern my pattern of operation. The years of obscurity were not abandonment, but the place where I quietly formed character. When the appointed hour came, he did not need to strive for position. The door opened of its own accord. As it is written, Pharaoh sent and called Joseph and set him over all the land. Genesis 41:14. Sushari, what I do is not dependent on the approval of the world when the time is ripe. Even circumstances themselves will bow to serve my purpose. In the same way, Ruth did not step into her destiny by her own strength or through human strategy. Her quiet faithfulness led her into a field that had already been appointed. And in what seemed like an ordinary moment, the lineage of a king began. As it is written, he will grant you rest. Ruth 3:1. Do you see? The place I prepare is not one of noise, but of precision, the place where destiny and obedience meet. And my child, there are callings that do not arise in the midst of crowds, but come in deep stillness. Samuel heard my voice in the night, when darkness covered everything and others were asleep. He did not recognize it at first, but when his heart became ready, that call became the beginning command of his entire life. As it is written, speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. 1 Samuel 3-9. You are also in such a moment a moment where a single word can open an entirely new journey. But what I am doing does not stop at changing outward circumstances. I am touching your whole being, because a life that carries the atmosphere of the kingdom cannot be built upon an old foundation. As it is written, I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you, Ezekiel 36-26. This is not an improvement, this is a recreation. Your body, I am drawing it out of the state of exhaustion you have long endured. Remember Elijah when he collapsed in weariness. I did not rebuke him for weakness, I nourished him. The bread from heaven did not merely sustain his body, but carried him into a journey he could not complete by his own strength. As it is written, he went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights, 1 Kings 19:8. You also will be sustained in ways that transcend natural reasoning, for your source no longer comes from yourself. Your mind, I am renewing the way you perceive the world. No longer a vision shaped by fear or past experience, but one illuminated by my spirit. Look at David, while others saw danger. He saw an opportunity for my glory to be revealed. As it is written, you come to me with sword and spear, but I come to you in the name of the Lord. 1 Samuel 17:45. When your mind is renewed, what you face no longer defines you. I define you. And your soul, this is the place I am lifting most powerfully. You will no longer be bound by fear or withdrawal. Remember the early disciples, they once locked themselves away in fear. But when the Holy Spirit came upon them, they stepped out and shook an entire generation. As it is written, they were all filled with the Holy Spirit and spoke the word of God with boldness. Acts 4:31. That transformation did not come through training, but through my touch. Therefore, my beloved, do not regard this moment as an ordinary phase. This is a point of convergence that no power can delay. This is the place where what was once scattered is now brought together, where what was hidden is now revealed. As it is written, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1-5. You are standing in that light. Walk forward with conviction, not because you understand everything, but because you trust the one who leads you. The circle has been completed not to end, but to open a new center from which all that I have ordained will begin to flow through your life. And as you move forward, you will come to realize you are not merely stepping into a moment, you are becoming part of the fulfillment I have written from eternity. My beloved, let your heart become still in the reverence of this moment. For what I am doing is not a gradual change unfolding over time, but a shift released by command, as though from the highest place a decisive word resounds. The time has come. Not a time determined by you, nor shaped by circumstance, but a time appointed long before you understood your own journey. As it is written, he spoke, and it came to be. He commanded, and it stood firm. Psalm 33:9. When my word is released, all things must respond without delay, without negotiation, without hesitation. You are standing within a transformation that cannot be measured by the mind. Outwardly, it may appear quiet, even causing you to think that nothing is happening. Yet, in the unseen realm, everything is being rearranged with an intensity you have never encountered before. If you could hear with spiritual ears, you would discern that your environment is no longer the same. The things that once restrained you are being loosened. Invisible barriers are being shifted. As it is written, the angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and delivers them. Psalm 34:7. You are not alone in this movement. The heavens themselves are participating in what I am accomplishing for you. There are chapters in your life that you once believed had closed in disappointment. But I tell you, they have not been discarded. They are being rewritten. Not with the ink of your memory, but with my intention. As it is written, all the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. Psalm 130, 9-16. And now, a new chapter is being opened, not because you have become perfect, but because you have become ready. Look back upon your journey, not to cling to what is past, but to recognize that my hand has never left you. The trials you have faced were not signs that I had forgotten you, but instruments I used to deepen the foundation within you. As it is written, we glory in tribulations, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, and perseverance, character, and character, hope. Romans 5:3. Fear. Nothing you have endured has been without purpose. Every fracture has been a place where my light could enter more deeply. Remember the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, 3 who entered the furnace not to be destroyed, but to be set free. The fire did not consume them. It burned away only their bonds. And in the midst of that fire, a fourth figure appeared, a testimony that I do not stand outside your trials, but enter into them with you. As it is written, the fire had no power over their bodies, only their bonds were burned. Daniel 3:27. So it is with you what you thought would destroy you is, in truth, releasing you from unseen constraints. The days you have wept have not weakened you, they have deepened you. The moments of silence have not emptied you, they have taught you to hear my voice more clearly. The times you felt pressed to your limit were not meant to end you, but to enlarge your inner capacity. As it is written, we are hard pressed on every side, yet not crushed, struck down, but not destroyed. 2 Corinthians 4:8-9. You are not being broken, you are being formed. And now, when I declare, it is time to be lifted up, this is not a distant promise, but a command already in motion. You do not need to push yourself into a new position. I am bringing you into it, not through strained effort, but through your obedience and alignment with what I am doing. As it is written, be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. There are doors that do not open by human strength, but by my presence. My beloved, do not measure this moment by what your eyes can see. Silence is not a sign of stagnation, it is the outer layer of a deeper movement. Like a seed hidden in the soil, no one sees it grow. Yet, at the appointed time, it breaks through the ground and appears. As it is written, the seed sprouts and grows, first the blade, then the ear, then the full grain in the ear. Mark 4:28. You are in that very transition, the phase where the invisible is about to become visible. Therefore, stand firm in this awareness. You are no longer where you once were. You are no longer defined by what has passed. You are in an appointed moment, one in which, as you step forward, you will see that everything I have been preparing in secret is now emerging all at once. And when you look back, you will understand that no tear was wasted, no trial was without purpose, and no season was meaningless. Everything has led you to this very hour, where I call you forth, lift you up, and reveal you in a way that only I can accomplish. My beloved, listen to me as a conductor, carefully tuning each string within your soul. For what I am doing is not a temporary adjustment, but a complete restructuring so that you may resonate with the sound I ordained from the beginning. There was a time when you lived as one, counting each beat, just to avoid losing rhythm in the midst of chaos. Each step marked by hesitation, each breath shaped by survival. But now, I am no longer calling you to remain in that old rhythm. I am bringing you into a greater symphony where you no longer react to circumstances, but become the one who sets the rhythm. As it is written, He has put a new song in my mouth, Psalm 43. And that song is not an echo of the past, but the sound of a new reality being unveiled through you. Understand this clearly. I am not merely touching a small part of you, I am aligning your entire body, mind, and spirit as an instrument calibrated for a higher purpose. When I elevate, I do not work in fragments as you might expect. I speak, and everything begins to change from the root. As it is written, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. 2 Corinthians 5:17. This is not improvement, this is transformation. Your body, I am drawing it out of the inertia of weariness that you once accepted as inevitable. You once believed exhaustion was the price required to continue. But I declare, no longer. Remember Elijah when he collapsed in depletion. I did not demand that he become stronger. I restored him. As it is written, arise and eat, because the journey is too great for you. 1 Kings 19:7. Strength does not come from striving, but from receiving. You will move forward not because you force yourself onward, but because a new source of strength is carrying you. Your mind, I am resetting the way you perceive and understand all things. You will no longer be governed by old patterns, nor by the limited definitions you once believed to be true. Look at David when he stood before Goliath. He did not see with natural sight, but with illuminated understanding. As it is written, you come to me with sword and spear, but I come to you in the name of the Lord. 1 Samuel 17:45. When your mind is renewed, reality no longer shapes you. You and me will shape reality. And your soul, this is where I am lifting you with the greatest power. You are no longer one who withdraws in fear, no longer one who merely strives to keep from falling. I am bringing you into the position of one who is sent. Like the early disciples once, they shut themselves behind closed doors in fear, yet they became those who carried fire, who carried a voice that stirred an entire generation. As it is written, you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you. Acts 1:8. That power is not for survival, it is for influence. Therefore, my child, release the old way of living, the way of one who merely tries to hold rhythm, who only struggles not to break. You are no longer in a season of striving just to survive. I have already brought you beyond that threshold. You are now in a season where your very presence becomes impact. You are no longer one who only sustains breath, you are one who releases life. As it is written, the Lord God breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. Genesis 2:7. In the same way, through you, life will flow outward. There is a story you must remember when Moses stood before the Red Sea. He was no longer in the position of a fugitive. He had once trembled, doubted, and felt inadequate. Yet, in that moment, I did not tell him to turn back. I told him to stretch out his staff. As it is written, lift up your rod and stretch out your hand over the sea. Exodus 14:16. And the sea parted. Do you see? The power was not in the staff, but in the commission. You also hold in your hands what I have entrusted not to keep, but to execute. And now, when I say that you are being brought into a sphere of influence, it is not encouragement, it is establishment. You do not need to wait for another sign to begin. As it is written, you are the salt of the earth, you are the light of the world. Matthew 5:13-14. Salt does not wait to become salty, it already is. Light does not wait to shine, it already shines. So it is with you, you are not waiting to become, you have already been appointed to be. My beloved, I know every layer of weariness you have carried, every wound you have concealed, every shadow you thought unseen. Yet I have seen it all, and I have not turned away. I do not merely heal you, I calibrate you. As it is written, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Psalm 23-4. You have passed through, and now you are being positioned rightly. Therefore, Open yourself fully, for what I am doing cannot be contained by hesitation. This is no longer a stage of preparation, it is a stage of execution. No longer learning how to stand, but walking in authority. No longer avoiding failure, but acting under my guidance. And as you move forward, you will realize you are not merely living a new life, you are becoming an instrument through which my kingdom is revealed upon the earth. My beloved, allow me to touch the place. You often overlook the place. You assume to be nothing more than ordinary reactions. Yet in truth, it is the hidden language of your being responding to my movement. When I lead you into this moment, I do not begin with what is outward and visible, but with your very body, for the body is the first to respond when the spiritual realm shifts. You have gone through days when your strength seemed drained, nights when your rest was incomplete, waves of weariness without clear cause, and you have wondered what was happening. But I tell you, this is not collapse. It is the sign of a deeper adjustment taking place within you. Remember Elias, when he lay down beneath the broom tree, not because he was weak, but because he stood at the threshold of a great transition. I did not rebuke him, nor demand more effort from him. I gave him rest. I gave him food. I restored him. As it is written, arise and eat, for the journey is too great for you. 1 Kings 19:7. So it is with you. Your body is not resisting you. It is adapting. It is learning to carry a weight of glory it has never carried before. And I do not leave you to exhaustion. I am increasing your endurance, expanding your capacity, and aligning you so that you may not only exist within this new atmosphere, but function within it. There are moments when your body seems to speak a language you do not understand, fleeting discomforts, unexplainable sensations. But I tell you, your body is listening before your mind can comprehend. Like Daniel, when he received the vision, he could not remain standing. His strength left him, and he had to be touched in order to rise again. As it is written, no strength remained in me, but a hand touched me and set me on my feet. Daniel 10:8. See, you are in that very process, not weakening, but being reconfigured to carry what is greater. And then I lead you deeper into your mind, the place where you have fought unseen battles for many years. Your mind has been like a battlefield, marked by echoes of the past that still linger. There have been recurring thoughts, unnamed anxieties, old memories surfacing when you are most vulnerable. You have wondered why you cannot simply rest in peace. But I speak to you with unchanging gentleness. There is no mind too complex for me to renew. As it is written, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. This renewal is not a decision made in a single day, but a process. I am actively working within you, even now. You do not need to fix yourself before coming to me when you are in me. Restoration begins. I see the loops of thought you cannot escape, the questions without answers, the fears without form, yet carrying real weight. But I am not afraid of them. I enter into the midst of them. Remember David, who faced deep inner turmoil within his soul. He did not hide his unrest, but brought it before me. And in that very place, he was transformed. As it is written, create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Psalm 51:10. So it is with you, not by avoidance, but by openness. You are stepping into renewal. My beloved, the moment you have long awaited, the moment when your mind finds rest, does not come when everything around you becomes perfect. It comes when you step into the appointed time I have set for realignment. And I tell you clearly, that moment is no longer ahead of you. It is now. As it is written, the peace of God will guard your hearts and minds. Philippians 4:7. Peace is not the product of circumstances. It is my rule, established within your mind. Therefore, do not be afraid of what you are feeling. Do not think that you are too much or too heavy. What you are experiencing is simply the evidence that I am touching depths that have never been reached before. And when I touch, I do not leave things unfinished. I rebuild. I renew. I bring you into a state where your mind is no longer a battlefield, but a dwelling place for my presence. Remain in this process without haste, without force, for I am working not merely on the surface, but within the very structure of your being. And when this work is complete, you will realize that your body no longer responds in weariness as it once did. Your mind no longer spirals. As before, everything will be synchronized into a new rhythm, the rhythm of life that flows from me. My beloved, allow me to lead you deeper into the layer you once thought was the most chaotic, yet is in truth being ordered by me with the greatest precision. Your mind is no longer abandoned among overlapping streams of thought as it once was. I am patiently untying each small knot, not with urgency, not with force, but as one who understands exactly how each tangle was formed. There were thoughts that once circled without exit, anxieties that stacked upon one another. But now you will begin to notice a distinct shift. What was scattered will be gathered. What was noisy will grow still. And what once clung as fear will fall away like leaves that can no longer hold. As it is written, you will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you, Isaiah 26:3. Peace is not the result of controlling every thought. It is the evidence that I am reigning within your mind. You will find that when your mind is realigned, you no longer struggle to understand as you once did. Clarity will come naturally, without strain. Decisions that once caused hesitation will become clear. The things that once confused you will no longer hold power over you. For I am bringing your mind into a different frequency, the frequency of the kingdom, where all things operate in order, in light, in truth. As it is written, God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. 1 Corinthians 14:33. When you are in me, your mind will reflect that very nature. Remember David, who faced countless pressures and dangers, yet did not allow his mind to be consumed by chaos. He learned to turn his thoughts toward me, and from there he saw what others could not see. As it is written, why are you cast down, O my soul? Hope in God. Psalm 42:5. You are entering that same state not by your own strength, but by my leading. And now, I lead you into the deepest layer, your soul, where you have fought battles unseen by any other. Not loud battles, but quiet tensions, the pull between returning to what is familiar and stepping into what is new, between knowing you are called and feeling unready. There have been moments when you stood between two shores, no longer willing to live as before, yet not fully stepping into what I have set before you. But I tell you, this is not weakness, it is the sign of transition. I do not look upon your soul as one who is lost, but as one who is being refined. The flame within you has not gone out, it has only been drawn inward so that it would not be extinguished by strong winds. And now, I am breathing upon that very flame again. As it is written, come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live. Ezekiel 37:9. Remember the valley of dry bones, a place where everything seemed finished. Yet when my breath came, life arose from the very place of death. Your soul is undergoing the same. This is not restoration from the outside, but an awakening from within. You once thought there were parts of you that had become frozen, no longer able to feel, no longer able to respond. But I have never overlooked those places. I touch them not forcefully, but with unwavering intention. And when I touch, life begins to move again. As it is written, He restores my soul, Psalm 23:3. This renewal is not a fleeting emotion. but a restoration that reaches to the root. Remember Peter, he believed he had failed completely after denying me. Yet I did not see him as one who was lost, but as one who would be restored and sent. And when I asked him, "Do you love me?" John 21:17, it was not to remind him of his failure, but to awaken his soul. So it is with you. I do not call you based on what you have done, but on what I know you will become. My beloved, allow this process to continue without resistance. Do not fear what is being dismantled, nor be troubled when old things fall away. For I am not only removing, I am replacing. I am not only cleansing, I am filling. And when your soul is breathed upon again by my Spirit, you will no longer remain in between. You will move forward, not with hesitation, not with fear, but with the vitality of one who knows they have been restored, renewed, and called to be revealed at the appointed time I have set. My beloved, let me speak to you with the insight of one who sees through every layer within you. For what I am doing is not a temporary repair, but a liberation from an old operating system that no longer aligns with where I am leading you. Your soul was not created to shrink in fear or merely endure from day to day. It is called to carry a different atmosphere, the atmosphere of the kingdom, where life is not limited by circumstance, but shaped by my presence. Therefore, I am stripping away from your spirit the remnants of a survival mindset, not because you are weak, but because you are no longer permitted to live at that level. As it is written, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. You no longer belong to fear, you belong to the strength established in me. You must understand that the assignment I have placed within you cannot be carried by a constricted soul. What I have called you to do does not affect you alone, it extends through others, through generations you have not yet seen. Therefore, your soul must be expanded, strengthened, and properly filled. As it is written, enlarge the place of your tent, do not hold back. Isaiah 54:2. I am not forcing you to become something foreign, I am restoring your true capacity, the capacity I ordained from the beginning. And hear this clearly, the realignment within you does not occur in fragments. Your body, mind, and spirit do not function independently. They operate as a system designed to move in harmony. When I touch one layer, I simultaneously affect all three. When your body begins to receive new strength, your mind no longer needs to remain in constant defense. When your mind becomes still, your soul begins to speak more clearly, no longer drowned in noise. And when your soul is strengthened, your body responds with peace and stability. As it is written, may the God of peace himself sanctify you completely, and may your whole spirit, soul, and body be kept blameless. 1 Thessalonians 5:23. I do not work in parts, I work to completion. And when you step into that state, you will no longer be shaped by circumstances. Rather than reacting to what happens, you will become the one who carries an atmosphere of peace, of clarity, of power. As it is written, the kingdom of God is not in word, but in power. 1 Corinthians 4:20. That power is not something you strive to produce. It is the natural result of a life aligned with me. But, my child, what I am doing in you does not end with you. Every time you release a fear, you are not only freeing yourself, you are breaking a chain that those who come after you will not have to bear. Every time you step into truth, you are not walking for yourself alone. You are opening a clearer path for those who will follow your steps. As it is written, the righteous walks in his integrity, his children are blessed after him. Proverbs 27. Your obedience today becomes the inheritance of tomorrow. Remember Abraham when he obeyed and left what was familiar. He was not walking for himself alone. He opened a lineage, a covenant, a pathway that generations after him would enter. As it is written, "In your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed." Genesis 22:18. So it is with you. What you do today carries meaning far beyond the present. Therefore, my beloved, do not see this transformation as an isolated personal journey. This is the opening of a flow. You are not being changed merely to live better, you are being changed to make way. I am enlarging your soul to carry what is greater, strengthening you to stand under greater weight, and illuminating you to lead others out of darkness. So yield to this process with trust. Do not shrink when I expand you. Do not fear when I remove what is familiar. For I do not take away to leave you empty. I take away to make room for what I am pouring in. And when this process is complete, you will no longer recognize yourself in the old way, because you will have become one who is aligned, filled, and sent to carry the influence I ordained from the beginning. My beloved, stand firm in my word. For this is no longer encouragement, it is the establishment of your identity. One you must no longer misunderstand. I did not create you to tremble before circumstances, nor place you in this world to live in constant caution. You do not belong to an atmosphere of fear, you were born from the source of authority. As it is written, I have given you authority over all the power of the enemy. Luke 10:19. When you understand this, you will no longer walk as one who is threatened, but as one who carries a presence before which all else must adjust. You once lived as one who conserved strength, measuring every reserve, restraining every step, as though you stood constantly on the edge of depletion. But I declare, this is no longer how you will function. You are not called to hold back a little for yourself. You are called to become a source that flows. As it is written, he who believes in me, out of his heart will flow rivers of living water. John 7:38. You are not a vessel afraid of running dry. You are a current that does not cease. Because your source is not within you, but in me. Understand this clearly. My child, I have not called you to live in strain. Striving is the language of those who do not know to whom they belong. But you are not building your life by your own strength. You are carrying out what has already been appointed. As it is written, the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. That stillness is not passivity. It is the steadiness of one who knows they stand within my authority. Look again at how I have lifted those I have chosen. Moses was no longer a fugitive when he stood before the sea. He was no longer trembling as he once was. When I spoke, he lifted his staff and the waters parted. As it is written, stretch out your hand over the sea. Exodus 14:16. The power did not come from the act itself, but from the commission behind it. So it is with you when you move according to my voice. Reality itself will adjust to align with what I have ordained. And remember Joshua, who entered the promised land, not with hesitation, but with boldness. As it is written, be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God is with you. Joshua 1-9. That courage did not come from personality, but from awareness. When you know I am with you, you no longer need to reassure yourself. Therefore, my beloved, let this be deeply established within you. You no longer walk with the old trembling rhythm. Your steps now carry the steadiness of one who has been established. You no longer think through the old lens, a lens distorted by fear and limited experience. Your mind is being illuminated by truth. As it is written, the path of the righteous is like the light of dawn. Proverbs 4:18. When light shines, confusion has no place to remain, and you will no longer react from former fears. The things that once caused you to withdraw will no longer hold authority over you, for your soul has been lifted. As it is written, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Psalm 27:1. When light becomes the nature you carry, darkness can no longer define your response. Now I speak to you from the place that cannot be shaken, from the throne where every moment is appointed and every destiny is sealed. You no longer live within the atmosphere of survival, for survival belongs to those who have not yet discovered where they belong. But you know your source. You know the one who has sent you. And you know that wherever you step, the atmosphere will change. You no longer carry the breath of striving. The breath you carry is the breath of commissioning. Just as when I breathed upon the disciples and said, "Receive the Holy Spirit," John 20:22. It was not merely a moment, it was a transfer. You are in that very transfer now. You are no longer attempting to construct your life, you are executing what has already been written. Therefore, walk as one who bears kingship, not in pride, but in right understanding. You know where you come from. You know why you have been sent. And you know that the atmosphere you carry is not your own, it is mine. And as you walk in this way, you will see something clearly. You do not need to strive to change your environment. Your very presence, when aligned with me, will, in itself, transform the environment. For you are not merely living, you are carrying another reality. A reality that has the authority to shape wherever you set your foot. My beloved, let your heart open to the light that is rising. For what I am doing in you is no longer hidden as it once was. This shift will become evident like the dawn spreading across the mountain peaks without noise, without display, yet unstoppable. Darkness is not driven out by loud sound, but dissolves the moment light touches it. So it will be with you. You will realize that you are no longer standing in a place of waiting. The days of watching opportunities pass have come to an end. In this season, your very steps will open the way. As it is written, lift up your heads, O gates, that the King of Glory may come in. Psalm 24:7. And you are the place through which that gate is opened. You will no longer ask as you once did, "Will I be used?" For that question exists only when you do not yet understand who you are. But when identity is revealed, hesitation has no place. The one who is chosen does not stand outside observing. The one who is chosen steps in and functions as one who has received the assignment. As it is written, you are a chosen generation, that you may proclaim the praises of him who called you. 1 Peter 2:9. You no longer need to prove your worth. You are called to reveal what I have placed within you. And my child, the fear of smallness is leaving you, not because you are becoming great by the world's measure, but because you are beginning to see your true stature in me. That stature does not come from years, from accumulated experience, or from human recognition. It comes from my light growing within you. As it is written, the path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day. Proverbs 4:18. That light does not stop, it increases. And you will find yourself walking in a clarity you have never known before. You no longer live day by day merely to get through. Survival is no longer your aim. You are stepping into a different rhythm, the rhythm of one who influences, who opens the way, who carries an atmosphere that does not leave places unchanged. As it is written, the kingdom of God is not in word, but in power. 1 Corinthians 4:20. That power is not something you strive to produce. It flows naturally when you live in alignment with the identity I have placed within you. Look at Joshua when he stepped into the promised land. He did not stand outside calculating each step in fear. He stepped forward with certainty. And when his feet touched the ground, the waters stopped. As it is written, as soon as the soles of the feet of the priests touched the water, it stood still. Joshua 3:13. Do you see? The environment does not change first, so that you may enter, you enter. And the environment changes. That is how one who carries the atmosphere of the kingdom operates. And now, hear what I imprint upon your soul as an unshakable seal. This is no longer guidance, it is a command. Carry my atmosphere into every place you step. Do not distinguish between small or great, between favorable or difficult circumstances, for that atmosphere does not come from the environment, it comes from you. As it is written, you are the light of the world, Matthew 5:14. Light does not choose where to shine, it shines wherever it is present. Stand as one who knows they are backed by heaven, not with arrogance, but with steadiness. As Elisha saw, when the army surrounded them, the servant saw only the enemy, but Elisha saw the heavenly host encircling them. As it is written, those who are with us are more than those who are with them, 2 Kings 6:16. So it is with you. Do not measure your position by what your eyes can see. There is a greater reality standing behind you. Act as one who has been sent, not as one searching for a place. For I did not send you out to find your position. I established you before you ever stepped forward. As it is written, I will go before you and level the mountains, Isaiah 45:2. You are not opening the way alone. I have gone ahead of you. And my child, remember this. Your steps today do not belong to you alone. Every time you choose strength, you are opening a path for those who come after you. Every time you refuse fear, you are breaking a chain that future generations will not have to carry. As it is written, one generation shall praise your works to another, Psalm 145:4. What you live today becomes the inheritance of tomorrow. Therefore, live as one who understands that this moment is not accidental. It is not the result of circumstance or random choice. It is an appointed time marked, established, and opened by my own hand, and you are standing at its very center. When you walk in that awareness, you will no longer retreat. You will move forward not with hesitation, not with trembling, but with the dignity of one who knows they are living out what was written for them from eternity. My beloved, stand still in this moment, not as one concluding a journey, but as one stepping into a threshold that has already been opened. I am not speaking of a symbol, nor an idea for you to contemplate and forget. This is a reality in motion, a true door, where you are no longer standing outside in longing, but have been brought in to pass through. And I desire that you step through with clarity. You do not leave what I have spoken with a passing emotion, but with an established position, with the posture of one who is ready, and with the awakened awareness of a soul that has been marked beyond reversal. Look back upon your journey, not to return, but to recognize what I have woven in silence. Not a single long night was meaningless. Not a single tear was wasted. Not a single fall was left unused. I shaped endurance within you through them all. As it is written, you have turned my mourning into dancing, Psalm 30:11. This did not occur in a single instant, but as the result of a process, you have walked through a process from which I never turned my eyes. You have walked through stretches of the path where even you did not understand how you were still standing. There were seasons that seemed intent on breaking you, yet you remained, and it is in that remaining that a new nature was formed within you. As it is written, the testing of your faith produces perseverance, James 1-3. You did not merely survive the trials, you were shaped through them. Remember Joseph, he did not enter the palace empty-handed. He carried with him the years of being sold, forgotten, and tested, and those very things became the foundation for the position he stepped into. As it is written, God has made me forget all my hardship, Genesis 41-51. It was not that his memory was erased, but that it was transformed into strength. So it is with you, what you have endured has now become the weight of glory you carry. And my child, this is what you must hold firmly. You do not step into this moment in lack. You step in fullness, not fullness according to the measure you once understood, but according to what I have prepared. As it is written, my grace is sufficient for you, 2 Corinthians 12-9. That sufficiency does not come from what you have accumulated, but from what I have formed within you through every season You may not yet see the full stature of who you are in this moment, but I do. I see that you are no longer the one from former days, the one who merely tried to stand, who struggled not to break. There is a stability within you now that you have not yet fully recognized. As it is written, "He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water," Psalm 1-3. Not because circumstances are favorable, but because your roots have gone deep. Therefore, as you stand before this door, do not step as one who doubts. Do not step as one unsure of whether you belong. You belong here. You have been prepared for this place, and I am the one who has brought you here. As it is written, "I have set before you an open door, and no one can shut it." Revelation 3-8. When I open, no power can hinder. Step forward with the awareness that your destiny is no longer in a state of potential. It has been activated. Not in a loud way, but in a way that cannot be reversed. Like a seed that has already sprouted, it cannot return to being a seed. So it is with you. You cannot return to your former way of living, because you have seen, you have heard, and you have been touched. And what I desire for you to carry is not the memory of a message, but the transformation of your very being. When you leave this moment, you do not depart as one who has heard something profound, but as one who has been positioned anew. As it is written, "Stand fast in the freedom with which Christ has made us free," Galatians 5-1. That freedom is not for returning, it is for advancing. My beloved, step through this door with certainty. There is no need for haste, but there must be no hesitation. For I do not only open the door, I stand there, waiting for you to enter. And when you step through, you will realize the journey does not end here. It has only just begun. But this time, you do not walk as one searching for the path. You walk as one who has been placed upon it. My beloved, stand still in the reverence of what I am about to reveal. For this is no longer something you receive by emotion, but by the deep knowing of your spirit. I am drawing back the final veil, not to show you a distant vision, but to cause you to recognize the reality already set before you. You are not merely one who has been restored after brokenness. You are not only one who has been lifted from seasons of darkness. You are not simply one who has been redirected onto the right path. You are the starting point of a flow that generations will step into. Let this settle within you as an unshakable truth. What I have done in you does not end with you. It extends beyond time, reaching those you have never met, touching generations you do not yet know. As it is written, "One generation shall declare your works to another," Psalm 145-4. You are not merely living for the present, you are shaping a legacy. And that legacy is not built through grand words, but through quiet choices, unseen tears, and the moments you stood firm when no one was watching. Do you think the battles you have endured were only for you to survive them? No. They were chains you have broken not only for yourself, but for those who will come after you. What once bound you will no longer have authority over them. As it is written, "Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom," 2 Corinthians 3:17. That freedom does not end within you. It becomes a foundation upon which others will rise. Look to Abraham when he walked in obedience. He was not walking for himself alone. He opened a covenant, a lineage, a pathway that generations would enter. As it is written, "I will make you into a great nation, and all peoples on earth will be blessed through you." Genesis 12:2-3. So it is with you. What I am doing in you is generational, not merely personal. My child, you are a marker, a living signpost that others will look to and find hope. Not because you are perfect, but because you are real. They will see in you one who has passed through fire and was not consumed, who has walked through deep waters and was not overwhelmed. As it is written, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. When you walk through the fire, You shall not be burned. Isaiah 43:2. Your life will become a testimony more powerful than any spoken message. And you must understand this clearly. I did not choose you because you were already complete. I did not choose you because you were without fracture. I chose you because you yielded, because you did not turn away when you were being shaped, because you were willing to be transformed. As it is written, the Lord does not see as man sees. He looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. It was your heart that opened the way for me to do what is great. You may feel that what I am speaking is too great compared to how you once saw yourself. But I tell you, it is precisely because it is great that I chose you. If it were small, it would not require the depth of transformation you have undergone. If it were ordinary, it would not require the length of journey you have walked. But because it carries generational weight, I have prepared you in ways unseen. Therefore, my beloved, receive this, not with doubt, but with surrender. You do not need to become that person. You have already been appointed as that person. What remains is for you to walk in that truth each day. As it is written, walk worthy of the calling with which you were called, Ephesians 4:1. And as you walk, you will see your life will not merely improve, it will begin to create waves. Waves of hope, of resilience, of light. Those who come after you will not start where you started, they will begin where you finished. And this is what I intended when I chose you, not for you to merely live, but for you to make a way. Hold this within you as an unshakable seal. You are not only one who has been saved, you are one who has been sent to shape a generation. And everything I have done in you is only the beginning. My beloved, let your breath settle into this deep awareness. What is opening before you is not a neatly closed ending, but an irreversible beginning being unfolded. You no longer stand at the edge of hesitation as you once did. From this very moment, your rhythm has shifted, no longer the rhythm of one who weighs and measures, but of one who is sent. As it is written, he whom God has sent speaks the words of God, John 3:34. And you no longer speak from the fear of being misunderstood, but from the conviction that your voice has been touched. Recognize this. You no longer act as one hoping to be used. That hope has fulfilled its role. Now, you operate as one entrusted. As it is written, we are God's fellow workers, 1 Corinthians 3:9. This means that every step you take is no longer an isolated personal effort, but a collaboration with me. You are not searching for a place, you are executing the place that has already been established. And when you speak, do not allow old memories to cause you to question the value of your voice. Your voice is no longer merely human sound, it carries the imprint of my spirit. As it is written, the mouth of the righteous speaks wisdom, Psalm 37:30. When you speak, it is not to impress, but to express what has been placed within you. Your words will no longer fall into emptiness. They will touch. They will open. They will awaken. My child, even the way you stand has changed. You no longer stand as one seeking assurance from circumstances. You stand as one who knows they are backed. Remember Elisha when he was surrounded, yet did not fear, because he saw what others could not. As it is written, those who are with us are more than those who are with them. 2 Kings 6:16. So it is with you. Do not evaluate your position by what is visible. There is an unseen reality standing behind every step you take. And now, as you look ahead, let that vision be cleansed from former anxieties. The future is no longer something that unsettles you. It is the place you have been positioned into with precision. As it is written, to everything there is a season. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Ecclesiastes 3:1. Cherie, you have not arrived too early, nor too late. You are exactly where you are meant to be. In the moment and context I have appointed. Therefore, My beloved, let this awareness flow within you continually. You did not hear these words by accident. There is no randomness in the way I lead. You have been called, chosen, and placed into the light, not to stand still, but to live within it. As it is written, you were once darkness, but now you are light. Walk as children of light. Ephesians 5-8. Let each day from this point forward no longer be a repetition of the past, but a revelation of grace. Your breath no longer carries the pressure of becoming someone, it carries the rest of one who knows they already belong. And as you live from that place, you will discover this. You do not need to strive for light to appear. You simply need to walk, and the light will manifest through your very life. Just as I ordained from the beginning,